Priya, working as an assistant professor in the Department of Biotechnology. On behalf of Institution Innovation Council and PG and Research Department of Biotechnology, Art and Science College, I heartily welcome you all for the today's orientation session on National Innovation Startup Policy. Now, I request Dr. G. Anbarki ma'am, Assistant Professor of Biotechnology, Contd Arts and Science College, for welcome the gathering. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening to one and all present here. First and foremost, I dedicate my welcome in absentia to our beloved President, Dr. M. Orshami sir, and our Honorable Secretary and Director, Dr. C.A. Vasuki ma'am. Welcome you, ma'am. I warmly welcome our respected Principal and Chairman of Institution Innovation Council of our Institute, Dr. M. Lakshmanaswamy sir. Welcome you, sir. I gladly welcome our distinguished Institution Innovation Council President and also the resource person of this session, Dr. S.R. Madan Shankar sir. Welcome you, sir. I am pleased to welcome our respected Associate Dean R&D, Dr. R. Sivaprakash sir. Welcome you, sir. I express my delighted welcome to the convener of our Institution Innovation Council, Dr. G. Dandapani sir. Welcome you, sir. I cordially welcome you all the IIC members, and also I kindly welcome all the participants, resource person, and all the faculty members of our institute and other institutes. Once again, I welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request our dedicated and enthusiastic principal of our institute, Dr. M. Lakshmanaswamy sir, for giving the presidential address. Sir, please.
Good afternoon, all of you. Most respected Secretary and Syndicate Member of Bharati University, Dr. C.A. Vasuki Madam. Today our resource person, Dr. S.R. Madan Shankar, Dean and Head Department of PG. Dr. R. Sivaprakash sir, Associate Dean R&D and Head Department of Biotechnology. Dr. G. Anbarki, Vishnu Priya, our faculty members, Dr. G. Dandapani, Convener IIC, students, participants. On behalf of the management, I welcome you all for the orientation session on National Innovation and Startup Policy, jointly organized by IIC and Department of Biotechnology. And NISP 2019 was launched by Honorable Minister of Human Resource Development on September 2019. The policy intends to guide higher education institute to promote students and faculty innovations and startups. Instrumental in leveraging the potential of students, problem solving and entrepreneurial mindset, and promoting inter-institutional partnerships. Initiatives of MHRD Innovation Cell, Smart Hackathon, Institution Innovation Council, Adult Ranking of Institutions on Innovation Achievements, National Innovation and Startup Policy 2019 for students and faculty, International NISP, Higher Education Institute Strategies and Governance for Promoting Innovation and Entrepreneurship, Creating Innovation Pipeline and Pathways for Entrepreneurs, Building Organizational Capacity, Human Resources and Incentives, Norms for Faculty and Students-Driven Innovation and Startups, Increasing Faculty and Students for Entrepreneurship, Norms for Faculty Startups, Collaboration, Co-creation of Business Relationship and Knowledge Exchange, Incubation and Pre-Incubation IP ownership rights for technologies developed at higher education institute, pedagogy and learning interventions for supporting innovations and startups. Some features of the policy: creation of innovation fund for supporting innovative projects and startups by allocating minimum 1% of institutions' total budget, academic break for a semester and year to work on their startups, credits for working in innovative prototype and business models, 2% to 9.5% equity and stake in startup company by institutes, incubator, complete ownership of IPR by the inventor of non-usage of institute facilities and resources, services to be offered by institution in view of equity, fee-based or zero payment model. And with this introduction, I really appreciate and congratulate the Department of Biotechnology. So this is a chain of programs conducted by the guidance of the Dr. Sir Madan Shankar. I think it's for innovation and jointly working programs. More than 10 programs already conducted. I really appreciate the organizers, and I wish the program a grand success, because biotechnology department is already pioneer in IIC already. So they have formulated or prepared one mask and also the herbal biscuits, and most of the staff members had applied for the patents. So really, the department is doing well. I appreciate the staff members for your enthusiasm, especially for Madan Shankar and Dr. R. Sivaprakash, two pillars of the department. Thank you for the opportunity given to me. I wish the program a grand success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your words. It is my great privilege to welcome Dr. R. Sivaprakash, sir, Associate Dean, R&D and Head, Department of Biotechnology, Contd Arts and Science College, to facilitate this program. Sir, please.
Thank you. Warm good afternoon and welcome to everyone who has joined us online here for this orientation speech on National Innovation and Startup Policy. At the outset, I would like to thank our beloved Secretary and Director, Dr. Vasgi ma'am, our respected Principal, Dr. Lakshminaswamy sir, and the management for giving me this opportunity to talk in this program. Today, we are privileged to have this opportunity to listen to Dr. Madan Shankar, who is a Dean Academics, and who is going to talk on the policies that are involved with national innovation and startup. Now, on behalf of the Institute and all gathered here, I do thank you for providing us with an opportunity to enlighten ourselves with all the policies that are involved with the national innovation. Now, there is a very common saying that innovation is the method of invention or the mother of invention. Now, innovation, it can be in any field, particularly in science. It can answer lot of questions. For example, eradicating neglected diseases, or increasing agriculture production, or increasing in various innovative methods to increase the production in the industry. Now, this innovative techniques now not only have a direct effect on the economy of the country, it also kind of eases the life of every individual. Now, wherever there are innovative ideas, we need to necessarily we can tap technologies from developed countries, and we can employ it for the purpose that's needed over here to improve production significantly in the startups. Now, original research efforts are very much needed, and effective national and international collaborations to address the challenges that face our country is the need of the hour for improving the economy. And at this time of crisis during COVID, these ideas will help us get back on track very easily. Now, as we see in the developed countries, innovation plays a very pivotal role in driving the economy of the country. And also, like now, we can see this effect in the growth dynamics of those countries. So, innovations as start up early in an individual's life as a student, and it should be introduced in our education, research, and also the products of which will be playing a role in the industry, healthcare, agriculture, environment, and also the whole ecology of the planet. Now, this opportunity for us to learn the various policies that are formed by our Indian government on the national innovation and startup policy will kind of like now enable the institutes that are going to employ it to actively engage the students and faculties and also the staff in innovation and entrepreneurship related activities. I hope that this session will be very fruitful for our institute and all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Resource person of this session. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, ma'am. It's my immense pleasure to introduce our today's resource person and also our beloved HOD of PG Department of Biotechnology, Dr. S.R. Vadan Shankar, sir. He also a Dean Academics of our institute. As a faculty of Department of Biotechnology, I proudly say he graduated his UG in our institute, and he got a first rank, and also he got a gold medalist. And he completed his PhD from the Institute of Forest Genetics and Tree Breeding, Coimbatore. Totally, he has about 20 academic and research experience. He has published more than 25 research papers in reputed national and international journals. He also authored 2 books and 1 book chapters. He has served as a member of Board of Studies in several autonomous colleges, and he is the campus ambassador United States of India Education Foundation. So he has coordinated several project work, notably a project from Impress ICSSR to tune of 11 lakhs for the welfare of tribal women of Nilgiri district. He is the recipient of Fellow Award in Forest Biotechnology from Society of Biotechnology, and he is honored with the prestigious PhD Teacher of the Year Award Faculty of Biotechnology in Pondicherry in 2009. In several national and international conferences and seminar programs. His current areas of interest include healthcare biotechnology and development of weedicides from the agrochemicals from the tree species. He is currently guiding 10 PhD, and he is also the state convener of the Environmental Education Panel of Shiksha Sanskriti Uttar Niyas, Delhi. He is also the first batch of green educator. This award is recognized by Center for Science and Environment, Delhi. So I'm very happy, and also I take this as a privilege to have such an eminent person as a head of our department, and also the today resource person of this session. So I gladly welcome a resource person, Dr. S.R. Vadan Shankar, sir, to share his words. Sir, please take over the session.
Dr. Lakshman Swami, CEO, sir, Dr. Siva Prakash, and the team of faculty members from the Department of Biotechnology. Good afternoon to all of you. At the outset, we are going to see about a very important policy. So, preamble of implementing this policy was actually given to the AICTE, and also in collaboration with the University Grants Commission. But predominantly it was done by the AICTE. The idea was, the union government started rolling about lot of schemes. Most important of them were the Made in India, Make in India movement, and also several initiatives like they started the Atal Innovation Mission, and also rural entrepreneurship missions were all started. So to promote the culture of innovation and to promote the culture of entrepreneurship among students of primarily engineering colleges, the AICTE rolled out this policy of innovation and startup. So the idea of why AIC started bringing out a policy document was that there were several very pertinent cases which happened at several institutions. One very important one which I would like to cite here is that in a very reputed institution, let's say it's IIT Madras, a student or a group of students who were very student done by the students when they were in the hostel using the IIT Madras facilities in the hostel. What they did was they launched the app, and later, sometime after they launched the app, the IIT Madras, they filed a case against the group of students owning share and owning the copyrights and also the rights of the particular app with the IIT Madras, citing that though they have not used any facility from the institution per se, since they have used the all hidden facilities like internet, etc., the students are supposed to give a right or supposed to share with the IIT Madras. So this case was a very pertinent case which made people to think about developing a clear-cut policy which will enable a healthier ecosystem for innovation and also for entrepreneurship. So this is how the AICTE thought of developing a policy way back in the year 2015, I believe, and it was rolled out in 2016. A draft was rolled out in 2016, and people started on the draft, and the final draft came in the year 2019. And institutions were asked to go through the draft, give suggestions, and also adopt the policy in the respective institutions as per the convenience and as per the requirements of the institution. So this is how a small introduction about how the policy started appearing. So the first few parts of my slides, say about 16 slides or so, will talk about what the policy actually talks about in terms of innovation and startup. So this policy was given the name National Innovation and Startup Policy, the draft of which appeared in the year 2019. It was rolled out by the Ministry of Human Resource Development. Now it is called as Ministry of Education, and also the and also the AICTE and the UGC, along with the MIC. So the idea or the purpose of enabling or purpose of bringing out such a robust policy was to enable the institutes to actively engage all the stakeholders, including stakeholders, meaning everybody, including faculty, staff, and also people. When you go through the draft, you will understand there is also a term called visitor. So when you say it's visitor, it means any stakeholder who comes to the campus and has a wish to get into entrepreneurship or wish to incubate something inside the campus. So by and large, the policy covers all stakeholders, irrespective of whether they are a student or whether they are faculty or whether they are staff or whatever it is, and engage them and involve them in entrepreneurship and innovation related activities is the preamble of this policy. The other important thing is that though the Ministry of Education and though the AICTE gave a guideline or a framework to the policy, the particular institutions are at liberty to develop and implement a policy as per the requirements. As I told you, depending upon the kind of the institution, depending upon the requirements of the institution, the institutions are at free will to develop and implement a policy as per their requirement. So it is not necessary that every institution has to stick to the framework that is provided by the by the AICTE. And this policy was mainly for facilitating an ecosystem to develop the concept of entrepreneurship and also innovation in the system, in the country. As a small example, I would say why this policy is actually required is that when you look into the number of patents or when you look into the number of startups that emerged, this data, I'm giving you this data somewhere about 2-3 years ago. I think it was in 2016 or 2017 that this data was flashed in a very popular biotechnology magazine. It states that at that particular point of time between 2016 and 2018, the number of startups that emerged in the life science sector, particularly which was running bio business, dropped down to 37%. But in 2015, the number was very, that is, it was about 52% or 53% in 2015. And by 2018 or so, nearly 10 to 15% of them have come down. So only 37% of them were surviving. Now, the idea or the reason why only 37% survived, the remaining were not able to make up, is that one thing which we need to understand when we get into a startup is that how far or how best is your startup going to sustain. So emergence of startup is not a question. Emergence of startup is not a criteria, but how the startup is going to sustain after 2 years of time or 3 years of time or 5 years of time is very, very important. So to make the startup emerge in a proper way and to see that the startup survives all odds and means, whether it is financial or any other kind of encumbrances that the startup will face after 5 years, the base for that must be given. So it is to give a strong foundation, or it is to give a strong base for the emergence of startup, that you have this policy being set and the policy being implemented across the country in all higher education institutions. And the idea is the startup, for the startup to emerge, you need to seed the startup. There are different stages of startup emergence. A startup needs a lot of mentoring, a startup needs a lot of hand-holding, and a startup needs a lot of financial and other resources for them to establish the prototype and then for them to venture into a business strategy. This is called as a business developmental model. So there are a lot of things that a startup requires. So the idea is that when you have such a policy in place in any higher education institutions, the complete ecosystem that is required for developing the startup will be made available to all the stakeholders. And the other important thing is that for the startup to emerge, you need a lot of resources, lot of mobilization is required, and this can happen only after a careful assessment of different parameters that are set in the policy. These parameters are called as key performance indicators, which are called as KPIs. And for every activity that the institution is doing, or for every activity or for every kind of stimulus that the institution is providing to make a startup emerge, there are associated performance indicators as well. And these associated key performance indicators will tell you the method of assessment and will also throw light on how the startup can emerge, or how better will be the possibility of sustenance of this startup. To create all this, the AICTE, I told you, the Ministry of Education, they brought about a lot of different programs and different schemes. One among them is the incubation support system that they have brought. Now, when you look into the policy, in detail, you will understand that we have given a list of support systems that are available. Can you switch off your mic, please? So when you look into the preamble, a lot of incubation supports are available, incubators are available, technology business incubators are available. Today, if you see, the DST has brought out a separate plan called as the Industry 4.0. And using this Industry 4.0, there are a lot of facilities that are available for the startups to test their prototype and also emerge as a functional startup. The idea here is that every student who has an innovative thought, just like how Dr. Sivaprakash was telling, when you have a nice research, when you have a research mind, only a mind which can do a good research can end up into innovation or can end up into a product development. So if a student has an idea has a good idea of a product or a process that can be tested at the college level, while the student is doing 3 years of undergrad or 2 years of postgraduate program, the student can try his startup, and the institution affirms that the institution will give them all possible support. So you must understand that according to the National Startup Innovation Policy, a total of at least 1% of the minimum budget of the total budget that is spent by the institution must be allocated for funding and supporting all startup initiatives. So here I would mean startup initiatives necessarily meaning establishment of a firm or establishment of a company. That's a different part of it. Here, the supporting and funding innovation means supporting and funding all kinds of activities, including workshops, hackathons, including business pitching workshops, interactions with successful entrepreneurs, interactions with successful startup companies, interactions with the CEOs of several emerged startups, etc. So all these activities will be funded by the institution, and a total amount of 1% of the annual budget has to be allocated for this purpose. So that is a very important thing that the policy has brought out. Apart from that, there is also possibilities where the institutions, including all the stakeholders, whether they are faculty or students, they can mobilize funds from several funding agencies. So one or two examples of funding agencies I would say is that, particularly for students, since you're all students, we have a fund from EDII, Ahmedabad, that is Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India, of Ahmedabad. They give you fund called as the IEDC. This IEDC, they give you fund for up to 1 lakh per student or for group of students, where if you have an innovative idea, you can pitch the idea to IEDC, and IEDC will give you fund for developing the idea into a prototype or into a small business model. So that can be there. Apart from that, there are also several NGOs. For example, Tata has got a lot of funds for innovation. Today, if you see, 2 days back, there was a hackathon by Tata, which is called Tata Crucible Hackathon. So Tata gives you a lot of funds. Similarly, like Tata, there are other funding agencies. There are several corporates which also give CSR funds for enabling startup ecosystem. And the most important thing, as I told you, to develop and implement an innovation and entrepreneurship strategy and policy for the entire institute. And the idea or the preamble is to take the product and to do a market survey for startups will also be done by the policy. Then startups for enabling institutional enough infrastructure. So here the goal is to link innovation to enterprises and financial success. As I told you in the beginning, there are several startups which emerge and they are lost after 2 years or 3 years of time. It's because they have not been planned properly. So to avoid such mishaps or to avoid such fall down of startups after 2 years or 3 years of emergence, the institution also will look into developing several supporting systems. Today this program is organized by the Institution Innovation Council. This Institution Innovation Council was one of the most important innovative ideas that was brought by the Ministry of Education in 2019. So they rolled out the first batch of institutions which were enrolled for the IIC. So as per the mandate, every institution is supposed to have a council called as the Institution Innovation Council. And this Institution Innovation Council has a plethora of members from both internal, student, and also from external agencies. And they meet periodically and plan and execute a set of defined as well as self-driven activities as well. All these activities that are structured and delivered by the Institution Innovation Council centers around fostering innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem. That apart, I told you about the New Gen IEDC. This New Gen IEDC is actually the program supported by the ETII Ahmedabad, which gives you fund for student-led startups, which they give you fund for 1 lakh for every prototype. And every institution, even our institution, has got a cell called the Entrepreneurial Development Cell. And through the Entrepreneurial Development Cell, student club, startup cell, and innovation cell, or whatnot, a plethora of activities are organized which will instill a sense or instill a thought of entrepreneurship in the minds of students. Apart from that, for every startup to emerge from an institution, for every startup to come out of an institution, there needs to be a base, or there needs to be a support for the startup to emerge. So though the policy states that 1% of the total amount or total annual budget that will be spent by the college or spent by the institution will be spent on innovation and promotion activities, entrepreneurship promotion activities, the institutions can also think of establishing a separate pre-incubation facility. And this pre-incubation facility, particularly when you look into our institution, we have 2 such facilities which are available. One is called as a KASC Tech Hub, and another one is a KASC I Hub. So these 2 facilities are facilities that are available for you to venture into the startup ecosystem. And the idea is that if at all startups emerge from using these facilities, there is something called as sharing of equity. So this equity sharing can be done only if the institution is registered as a special purpose vehicle. So to promote an entrepreneurial and innovation ecosystem, every higher education institution can think of forming a special purpose vehicle, and the special purpose vehicle can be registered under the Section 8 of the Company Act 2013, or it can be registered separately as a society as well, depending upon the requirement or depending upon the modalities of the particular institution that can be done. So all startups, whether it is student-led startup or whether it is a faculty-led startup, any startup that develops from the institution will have to be registered will have to be developed through the special purpose vehicle. And this special purpose vehicle will look into the financial encumbrances as well. We'll also look into the cost sharing, also look into the different aspects of thing. Then when you look into the student-led startup or the faculty-led startup, according to the National Innovation Startup Policy, any service that is made available through this pre-incubation center will be either on equity sharing or will be on pre-incubation incubation in units in return fee, or it can be on a zero payment basis, depending upon the availability or depending upon the higher education institution. Now, with reference to our institution, I am very proud to tell you that our management has allowed people to enable or emerge into startup by the management is providing seed money for establishment of startups. Not only that, and any facility that is available is made available at a very nominal cost. Not much of fee is being levied on people from our own institutions. So that is one advantage which you have with our policy. So nurturing innovations and startup is a third preamble of the policy, where once the idea here is that once a student or faculty has an inclination or he has an idea of developing a startup or idea of developing a prototype into a product, the institution must have some clear-cut mechanisms and process such that the startup can emerge without much difficulty, and it can actually help in allowing these stakeholders to have maximum time to facilitate emergence of the startup. So other things that are available here are, one is you have you have these incubation facilities and also pre-incubation facilities. Then we know our institution has got an IPR cell. We have got intellectual property rights cell. So if at all a student has an idea, the idea has to be protected. So for protecting the idea, the IPR cell can help the startup to protect the idea. And also, it can also help in setting up the startup, which can be either a social startup or any other startup. And working part-time for the startups while studying and working can also be made available. Apart from that, the institution will also permit the stakeholders to allow to register their address in the institute, to register their company with due permission from the institution. So you can register your startups under the banner of our institution, Kongunadu Arts and Science College. Similarly, for students who are actively engaged in the startup and also entrepreneurial related activities, depending upon the requirement from time to time, students can be given students can be given an exemption from and also which will enable them to appear for the regular examinations as well. So this one is also available in the policy. Students are interested to take up startup and innovation or an entrepreneurship ecosystem can also avail a 1 semester or a 1 year break, and they can come back and resume their study. So this is also available. And if at all a student has emerged as a good startup while his course or while he is studying in the institution, the student can be provided an extra academic credit to compensate the loss that he has got by missing out 1 or 2 theory papers or 1 or 2 practical papers. So that these kind of facilities for nurturing innovation and startup can also be made by the institutions. And here the most important one that you should remember here is that accommodation to entrepreneurs within the campus for some period of time. So I told you that every startup or every innovation, any prototype development or enterprise will be registered under the special purpose vehicle. So this special vehicle cannot hold the startup for more than a certain period of time, which is mutually agreed by the particular stakeholder and the SPV. So if you say that you are going to, if you require a mentoring or if you require a holding hand, or you require some facilities to establish your startup for a period of 3 years or 4 years, for 3 years or 4 years, the startup will be registered under the SPV, and whatever revenue is generated by the startup, equity has to be given to the SPV. Equity will be between 2% to maximum of 9.5%. So any equity above 9.5% is not allowed to be claimed by the special purpose vehicle, and the special purpose vehicle will claim this SPV only for the defined period of time in the agreement between the SPV and the student or the faculty-led startup. So this is a very interesting thing where this will facilitate a lot of startup activities. The other important thing, when you know, the Atal Innovation Mission, the AIM and the AICTE, they have brought a very interesting program called as a MS program or MBA program in innovation, entrepreneurship and venture development. Very few institutions are offering this program. So the policy also advocates that the institution can start such programs for promoting entrepreneurship and ecosystem. The idea of this program is that once a student joins an MBA in innovation entrepreneurship, by the time he is leaving the walls of the institutions, he will already have an emerged startup. So that's a complete program which allows establishment of startups while the student is studying. That's a PG program. A few institutions have been sanctioned permission to offer this program. I told you about equity. Then other important thing for faculty and staff, when you look into the shares that is held by the company, the shares that is held by the startup or by the enterprise, not more than 20% of the shares that the faculty or the staff will take while drawing full salary from the institution. So the institute cannot take more than 20% of the shares, even though if the faculty or the student is drawing some salary from the institutions. However, the equity of 9.5% cap will always remain. And there is no restrictions on shares that the faculty or staff can take as long as they do not spend more than 20% of their office time on startup in advisory or consultative role. So here, one important thing which the policy clearly emphasizes is that the policy states that the primary job of a faculty or the primary job of a student is to teach and learn respectively. So the policy also states that maximum time have to be spent for the primary purpose, which is teaching, learning, and research. Apart from that, faculty or students can utilize their time for other activities like participation in startup related activities, product development and commercialization, etc. And fourth one is product ownership rights for technologies developed at the institute. Now here comes the concept of intellectual property rights. So any invention, whether it is an app, or whether it is a product, or whether it is a process, or whether it is any invention which is novel, which is non-redundant, and which is unique, which has an applicability, will be covered by the intellectual property rights or the IPR. And any such invention will the IPR will be co-owned, or which means it will be jointly owned by the investor and the institute, which means here the institute, it will be the special purpose vehicle. So the license or the intellectual property for the particular product or particular process will be owned by the special purpose vehicle and the stakeholder, which is the inventor, which can be a faculty, can be a student, or whatever. And here the inventors together can license the product or IPR to any commercial organization, which means for technology transfer, if you have to transfer this technology or transfer this process or product to some other industry or to some other commercial setup for commercialization of the IP, the process of commercialization of this IP will also be together, which means the investor and the institute together will transfer the license to any other commercial organization. And other important, and whatever it is I told you, an institute may not be allowed to hold the equity as per the current statute. So the SPV will be requested to hold the equity on their behalf. So here, no institutions will be directly holding the equity. So to allow the institutions to hold the equity, the special purpose vehicle is being created. And as I told you before, if one or more investors wish to incubate a company, the licensed product to this company, the royalties would not be more than 4% of the sale price, preferably 1 to 2%, unless it's a pure software product. If it is shared in the company, shares will be again between 1 to 2%. So this is also very clearly defined in the product. On the other hand, if the product or IPR is developed incubate by these stakeholders using any other institution facility outside the office hours, then the product or the IPR can be entirely owned by the investors. So I think now you will be able to get the idea of what I told you in the beginning about the case that was filed by the IIT Madras. So there, the case is very, very unique. So here, according to the policy, if at all a student or if at all a faculty develops a product or develops a process or develop any material, anything which is novel, outside the office hours, which means outside his normal working hours, using facilities which are not in the institution, then the product or IPR will be entirely owned by the investor only. So here the institution will not have any say in holding the IPR or holding the ownership of the product. And here again, if at all there is any dispute in ownership, there has to be a 5-member committee to resolve the dispute. So here the 5-member committee, the constitution is also defined. It says it should have 2 faculty members who have had considerable experience in IPR and also translated to commercialization. 2 of the institute's alumni or industry experts who have experience in technology commercialization. 1 legal advisor with an experience in IPR will be examining this dispute. So, and the most important aspect here, the policy also wishes that there should be interdisciplinary research and publication on startup and entrepreneurship should be promoted by the respective institutions. I told you about the IPR cell. The IPR cell incubation center will only be a coordinator and facilitator for providing services to the faculty and students. Organization capacity, human resource and incentive is the next clause that is addressed in the policy. Here, the stakeholders are required to organize periodic lectures, should develop academic and non-academic incentives and rewards for all stakeholders who are actively contributing in entrepreneurship related activities. And faculty as well as students can also be permitted to do a lot of courses on innovation, IPR, entrepreneurship, and also on venture development. Now, the Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India, Ahmedabad, they are organizing periodic programs. They are organizing periodic faculty development programs. They are also organizing student-centered activities and student-centered program. So the policy also advocates that if at all a group of faculty or a group of students or teacherpreneurs, I would call them teacherpreneurs because it's going to be a teacher and a group of students, if they are interested to go and attend, or if they're interested in attending any kind of such programs that are offered by the EDII or any other compatible institution, the policy also advocates that this process of deputing the students or faculty to such programs will also be encouraged. And sixth important clause is creating an innovation pipeline and pathway for entrepreneurship at institution level. So any entrepreneurship development activity can happen only when there is an adequate awareness about the entrepreneurship ecosystem that are available, the entrepreneurship activities that are available. So to promote that, you know, you have the IIC, and you all would have been aware that the IIC version 3.0 in our institution has been doing a good job. For example, we have done a lot of programs, at least 10 to 15 different programs have been done, and all the faculty members and all the students are highly cooperating for the success of such programs. So awareness is one of the most important aspects of the creating the ecosystem in the institution. So here lot of workshops which will talk about experiential learning, design thinking, critical thinking, creativity, etc. will be given to the students as well as the faculty, and that's done by the IIC. So here, as I told you, again, to strengthen the innovation funnel, networking events will be organized, where I think we did have organized few programs where lot of entrepreneurs gave lectures to you. For example, entrepreneurs from different sections. Today morning also we had a lecture where an entrepreneur was sharing his entrepreneurial journey. So such lectures, business incubation facilities like premises at subsidized cost, laboratories are open, research facilities are available, IT services are available for the students to emerge them as a startup. And finally, a culture needs to be promoted to understand that money is not free and is risk capital. Here, I would always say research involves lot of Saraswati, which means, lot of Lakshmi. And also, you need lot of the innovative mind to do research. So research involves lot of money. At the same time, if you can capitalize the research, or if you can commercialize that research, then you get a lot of Lakshmi. So this blend between Saraswati and Lakshmi is actually very much required for enabling an ecosystem of entrepreneurship and innovation in the campus. And here the norms for faculty startups, I'm just skipping because it's most of your students, I'm not going to deal here. The pedagogy and learning interventions for entrepreneurship development, you know, several student clubs, bodies, and departments will be created for organizing boot camps, workshops, awareness programs, etc. Then every institution, in every department, case study analysis will be given to the students. The teaching method will be based on case studies. You know very well, in our department, with the third year and also with the postgraduate program, we have done a case study analysis with in collaboration with an industry. So this kind of innovative methods of teaching learning will also be imparted to the students, where the students will learn about business options, business failures, and also real-time experience reports which are given by several startups and also by entrepreneurs. Similarly, innovation champions can be nominated from the students. So this year, according to the policy, we will be nominating innovation champions as well, students who are performing exemplarily well in innovation. And this during the pandemic lockdown, there was an innovation series of activities that was promoted by the Ministry of Education, and from our institution, I'm proud to say that one student, by name Pratish of 3rd BBA CA, was nominated by the Ministry of Education as an innovation ambassador. So this kind of activities where students are given credit for their eagerness in promoting the entrepreneurship and innovation ecosystem will also be honored during the every academic year as well. And the other important thing is industry leverage, where linkages between industries must be refined and must be promoted. For customizing teaching learning materials should be developed for startup, and also pedagogical changes are required here. Finally, it is collaboration, co-creation, business relationships, and knowledge exchange. Here, the collaboration means how we are going to network with different other institutes. For example, in our institution, we have recently signed an MOU with MSME, and this MSME is going to give a 3-year entrepreneurial development program to our students. 50 students are required. We have got only about 30 to 34 registrations. I request people to register for this program, because this program has an industry internship in the 2nd year. The 1st year, they will teach you the basics of entrepreneurship, and the last year, they will give you about business development, etc. And all these are supported by the MSME, and the government of Tamil Nadu gives the certificate, which is through the MSME. So this certificate will be very, very important for you if you have an entrepreneurship mindset. 2-3 weeks ago, our union government, they announced about 100 crore rupees for startups alone. So if you are having a certificate from MSME, or if you have such additional accolades to you, you will be able to tap these funds in a nice way. So that's one thing which we need to understand when we talk about collaboration. Collaboration is with MSME, other social enterprises, other schools of eminence, even with alumni, and also with institutions which are offering design thinking programs. You have an institute at Pune which offers a design thinking program. And the last one is entrepreneurial impact assessment. The 3 stages of the policy is, one is the development of the policy. We have already completed the policy in our institution with the support of all the stakeholders, with the support of the IIC team, and the policy is approved by our college committee and college council, and the policy is uploaded in the college website. So I urge and request all of you to go through the policy and understand the nuances and nitty-gritty of whatever is there in the policy. And here is a brief prelude of how the policy will look like when you read. So the idea of developing or rolling out this policy is to see that we contribute ourselves in a nice way to make our country as a $5 trillion economy by 2024. So if the country has to become a $5 trillion economy by 2024, we need to have an adequate system and mechanism for entrepreneurship and innovation at the institution level. And as you all know, this policy is coming in conjunction with the National Education Policy 2020, where in the National Education Policy 2020, adequate focus has been given to entrepreneurship and innovation ecosystem, where they talk lots about newer methods of teaching learning, newer methods of content delivery. For example, one of the most important thing that is talked in the National Education Policy is Academic Bank of Credit, or Academic Credit Bank. This Academic Credit Bank will be a boon when it is implemented, particularly for students who have an inclination to emerge as a startup. Students who wish to do or who wish to participate in entrepreneurial related activity can actually take a 1 semester break. You can come back, or you can even take a 1 year break, do something for your startup, make your startup emerge, and you can come back and start your coursework. So whatever credits that you have earned will remain in the bank. This is called as academic credit bank, and that's one of the most important aspects of the National Education Policy 2020. So when you